is that many of us are unaware that we're making this choice by our thinking about the past. We're choosing what we no longer want, aware and unaware of it. But the good news is that I'm here to remind you today that you don't always have to make the same choices over and over again. Let me give you an example. I don't always have to join my wife in her craziness. Making the same old choice over and over again. I know when she says that it's an invitation for me to join her. I know it. And I don't have to. Because see, there is a change inside of me that is eternal and everlasting that I'm aware of. And the truth is that we all have a much greater capacity to evolve and grow that we might not be aware of. Each of us are way more than we think that we are. Each of us have way more love, way more patience, way more compassion, way more kindness than we can ever even imagine. My oneness with God is eternal and everlasting. My oneness with love is eternal and everlasting, you see, a greater capacity than we ever could imagine, a greater capacity to see things differently, a greater capacity to choose good. In the Bible, in Isaiah 40 and 31, they say that those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Here's the part I wanted to share. It goes on to say that they will soar on the wings like eagles. They will run and not get weary. They will walk and not be faint. I'm talking about practice. I'm talking about us becoming more aware of the change inside of us so that we can tap into it when the moment comes before us that we need to tap into it, where we realize, as the reading reminded us, that God is right where we are. We don't need to go to the cathedral to find this power and this presence of God. It is always right where we are. And so, in order to see this change, then, as I said earlier, we're going to have to practice, because practice reveals perfection. Practice reveals what is already perfect. Practice reveals what's already at hand in our lives, available to us to use for good. We're going to have to start practicing. We're going to have to start paying attention to ourselves and not to others. I'm just going to leave that there for a second. We have to start paying attention to ourselves and not to others. Why? Because you want to become more aware of the change inside of you. And then you want to be willing to announce and pronounce and declare to yourself that I've changed. I've changed. I don't have to get down with you when you go there. I don't have to think the worst when I see this happening out in the world. No, I'm connected to the change inside of me so that I see something different, so that I soar on wings like eagles. See, this practice is eternal and will be with us forever. In other words, practice is living. And the principle says either we are living or we're not. Either we're practicing the principle or we're not. So I remember I was talking to someone years ago, and they were sharing with me that they were considering being in a relationship, and they hadn't been in a relationship for a long time. A long time. And they were saying that well, you know, I don't know, because, you know, I ain't ready to take care of no grown man. I ain't doing that. And I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning, I'm not doing all that. And so this person went on and on and on, you know, in this way, in this fashion. And then I said, well, you've changed. You've changed. And that means that you'll attract different men to you. The change inside of me. I said, then you'll attract different men to you. It won't be the same kind of man. And they go, well, I said, listen. You've changed. And it's more than enough. You'll know what to do if that's not what you want to do. You'll know how to lovingly say, listen, I'm not cooking every day. We can do this or we can do that. You'll lovingly come up with a greater idea around cleaning. Let's hire somebody to do it. Because you've changed. The change inside of me is more than enough for whatever comes my way. Whatever situation, whatever life brings to me, the change inside of me is more than enough. And so on our discovery, then, we'll have to get to a point where we choose to stop reacting to the past and instead start responding to the present, instead start responding to life. We'll soon have to get to a point in our life where we examine the principles and not grow weary. Not go weary in examining the principles in our life. Not go weary in checking with inside of myself to see if I'm still in integrity with the principle or not, or am I outside of the principle? Because either the principle is alive in my life and working, or it's not. So there'll come a time we have to examine the principle, not grow weary in our practice, and not grow weary in our asking, not grow weary in our ability to create the life that we desire, not grow weary in our opportunities to pray, not grow weary, get tired of meditating, not grow weary and not in our desire and the invitation to look inside of ourselves and to see the change within us, where suddenly we realize that the thing, it never was real. It was imaginary. It never was real. The situation never was real. Perhaps what you're in right now, it's not real. But you have to be willing to practice. You have to be willing to examine the principle. Here is where we practice and begin to affirm that the change inside of me is enough to meet any and all situations in my life. We become so aware of the change inside of us that we're no longer focused on others. The change inside of me living masterfully. The change inside of me where the change is not long, but it is forever. That's the invitation and the theme and the message for today. And that you have to be willing then to do your work outside of the walls and not seek to reach the cathedral before you decide to look within to see the changes that's inside of you, and to call on love right where you are, to call on peace right where you are, to say to yourself, I don't care what this woman is saying to me, I'm going within to be with the change inside of me. I'm going within to align myself with the principles, with the power and the presence of God. I'm going within myself until I get to a point where I'm in peace. Until I get to the point where I say, it doesn't matter. I will soar on the wings like eagles and run and not get weary. I won't let my peace go for anything. I don't care what you do or what you say. I don't care what the situation looks like. I don't care what the situation appears to be. I will not get weary in practicing the principles laid out before me, because I know that either the principle is working or it's not. It's working or it's not. What do we mean when we say that I am one with God? The peace I desire is not outside of me, it's right where I am. That's what we mean. That's what I mean. That's what it means to me. And either it is or it isn't. Either it is or it isn't. Join me, practitioners, in anchoring this idea. Join me in knowing that there's only one life, only one mind, only one power, only one presence, only one energy, only one essence. God and only God. Join me in knowing that this power and this presence, that it is pure love, absolute, supreme. Join me in knowing that it is intelligence, it is wisdom, it is everywhere, and it is right where we are, right here and right now. Not some of it, but all of it. And that you and I, we are one with it in all that it is. We are one with all that we can see and all that we cannot see. We are one with God. It is, and we are forevermore. As I know this truth, then I just affirm for each one of us here today that we become so aware of the change inside of us, that our world, that we are set free and are no longer limited by our old ways of thinking, that in this moment, each one of us comes out from among them and are set free, no longer limited by our past experiences, our thoughts of the past. No. Now, in this moment, I speak my word and affirm that each one of us are one with God, and that the ground that we stand on is holy, and that our roots run deep and are spread so far that we are one with the eternal givingness and goodness of God, and that this goodness is flowing through me and is flowing through you right here and right now. So no longer, no matter the situation, no matter the circumstance, no longer will we be deterred or disturbed by what we see or what we hear. Rather, I affirm in this moment for you and for me, each one of us, that we are moved from within by the mighty Spirit, by the mighty power, by the mighty presence of God, moved into goodness, moved into the experience of peace right where we are, moved into a greater experience of love right where we are, moved into a greater experience of understanding, moved into a greater experience of abundance, moved into a greater experience of wholeness, moved into a greater experience where we affirm and know that we are healed and whole, perfect and complete. Oh, I give thanks this day